Y'all, the time has almost arrived. The Denver Nuggets are set to play versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And y'all, I think this has the potential of being the best series we've seen from the Denver Nuggets from the last couple of seasons, especially this new era, y'all. This is going to be a great series, but there's one matchup in particular we got to tap into, y'all. Let's get it. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? This is your host, Swiper, here with Locked On Nuggets, your team every day. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hope everything's going well for you, y'all. This has been a really great week. A lot of great content. Matt Moore, Adam Matez, myself. A lot of great basketball is on the way. The Denver Nuggets take care of the Los Angeles Lakers, man, and they get 4 days off, basically almost 5 full days off before they play versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, y'all. We are just 2 nights away. We are 2 nights away from beginning the second round and what is going to be a phenomenal series. But, y'all, game off. We got to talk about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go, now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Y'all, let's talk some hoops. The Denver Nuggets are getting ready to face the Minnesota Timberwolves, y'all, and I got to go ahead and say this right now. The matchup that is going to define this series is going to be Jamal Murray versus Anthony Edwards. Now, let me just say this. I love Anthony Edwards. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Y'all know I'm living in Atlanta, Georgia. He's from Atlanta. He went to the University of Georgia. He represents a lot of the best things about the league, a lot of the best things about Atlanta, about the state of Georgia, and he just does so many things at such a high level. He's such a great player. He's tenacious as a driver. He's even become a better pull-up shooter. Still not like good or above, but he's a really good player. And I really love the mentality that he has. You know, the whole clapping and looking at Kevin Durant thing, the way he approaches the game. But the thing is, Ant got respect for his peers. You know, he even said last year that Jamal Murray might be his favorite player in the league. You know, he's called Nikola Jokic the best player in the world. I mean, he's acknowledged these things. I think Ant, the thing that makes him special is that he wants to be the best. He wants to be great, and he's willing to do the things that need to be done in order to reach that level. And just at 22 years old already, you know, I think he's an emerging superstar. I think he will be a superstar at some point in time. He has everything that you would need to be, and I think any praise that he gets is going to be great. But this matchup is going to be Jamal Murray versus Anthony Edwards. And what I love about the fact that the Nuggets took care of business in 5, I don't care how they did it. They won in 5. If the Nuggets win a championship versus the Celtics or versus the 76ers or the Knicks, and they win that series in 5 or 6 games, but it's sloppy and it's ugly, then it don't matter. That's your second ring. That's ring number 2. Just win. Just win, baby. And I think a lot of this is Jamal Murray getting 4 days off. It gets him an opportunity to get his calf fully right. I think give him some more rest. And the players have talked about this. When you get 3 days off, 4 days off, that makes such a huge difference on your body. And especially the minutes that they just had to play versus Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So you get a chance to rest, you get a chance to watch film, and you get a chance to study your opponent. And in this particular matchup, Jamal Murray getting a chance to rest his body, I do think he's going to have a better series than he did last series. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. Because with Jamal, it's not about the competition. And I've stated this before. They're going to make life difficult as possible on him. But if Jamal feels healthy, if those 4 days off give him enough time to rest that calf, and he feels like his mobility is there, that itself is going to help Jamal to be able to focus as a shot maker. And again, a lot of people, I know everybody paid attention to it, but Jamal had basically his worst shooting series since the 2019 playoffs. Jamal Murray is an elite three-point shooter, 42% from 3 over the course of the regular season this year on a bunch of attempts. Jamal Murray shot 85% from the free throw line. But if you look at Jamal Murray in the playoffs, his scoring numbers went up. He averaged 40 minutes a game basically in the first round. He averaged 23.6, 7.2 assists, and 4.6 rebounds. But Jamal shot 40% from the field and 29% from 3. with a 46.8% true shooting. His true shooting, and this is why I think this is really important. Jamal Murray's true shooting from the regular season to the playoff dropped 12%. His true shooting usually goes up in the playoffs. For Jamal to go from shooting 42%, 42.5% on three to 29, and 48% from the field to 40, so those are stupendous drops. And I think a lot of that just had to do with his focus and the fact that he was feeling nicked up. But again, give him 4 full days off, get him a chance to rest. They play Saturday. They'll have the next game a day or the 2 days after that. Give him some more opportunity to rest in Denver. And again, you get a chance to really start to invest in healing your body. But I expect Jamal Murray to get back to that precipice where he was at last year. And just a reminder for people that are doubting Jamal Murray, no Jaden McDaniels, no Naz Reid last year, obviously. Definitely Jaden McDaniels, one of the best wing defenders in the league. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. Jamal Murray last year versus the Minnesota Timberwolves averaged 27.2 points per game, 6.4 assists, 5.6 rebounds, a steal. Jamal Murray shot the ball 21 times a game in that first round, 21 times a game. He shot 47% from the field, 43% from three on 42 attempts, 8.4 attempts per game. He shot 43% from three, and he shot 91% from the free throw line. 91% from the free throw line. Now, Jamal in that series, you know, one of the interesting things is in the first game, he was a plus 24. Because remember, the Nuggets blew them out in that game. But over the course of the series, he was a plus 20, you know, plus 1, plus 3, a minus 3 in game 4, and then a minus 5 because, you know, Jamal Murray has to anchor that second unit. And that's okay. You know, when Jamal's not out there with Joker, you know, you heard me talk about this all year. It's about stabilizing. How can we stabilize the bench minutes? And this year, they're rolling out Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, and it's going to be Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. It's going to be something around that. And then with Jokic, it's going to be Reggie Jackson, KCP, Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, and that's going to be the unit that they're playing with. And Justin Holiday sliding in there as well. And Justin Holiday also sliding next to Jamal Murray, depending on what they're looking for. So the Nuggets have about 9 players they're for sure playing. Justin Holiday is going to get minutes in this. And I think the thing for Jamal, if Jamal can just get his rhythm and get his feel, that's just going to help him a lot. And that first game is going to be really big. They're going to be playing versus the Timberwolves. Y'all remember, playing versus the Timberwolves is one of the funnest opponents in the league because playing in Minneapolis, man, those fans are rocking all the time. They're always ready. They're always amped. And I know the Nuggets love playing in those kind of environments because that's where they excel. But the Nuggets, it's going to be really critical that this series, they start off well and Jamal Murray starts off well. Because on the other end, Anthony Edwards in this last series, you know, he averaged 31.6 points per game, 5.2 assists, and 5 rebounds. He shot 48% from the field, just 34.9% from three on 8.6 attempts a game. He shot 84.6% from the line. He was a minus 15 in the series. They lost the minutes that Anthony Edwards plays in all the games except for game 4 when Anthony had 34 points in that game. He played 45 minutes in game 4. Again, Anthony Edwards is one of those players where he has so much physicality that, like, the way he's built like a Cam Chancellor. Like, if you don't remember the Seattle Seahawks strong safety that used to box everybody up in the cover 3, he's just such a strong athlete. He's built like a football player. And because of that, he's so quick and explosive that his ability to get around a hedge from Nikola Jokic to get downhill and then to finish, it's almost unheard of. Because like LeBron has had at his apex had the size, and then he had the physicality, and he had the speed and the explosiveness, right? Well, Anthony Edwards has that, but just not as dynamic, but also much more concentrated in a 6'5" frame. So KCP is going to have a very, very difficult responsibility in this series because Ant is just the type of player that would give the Nuggets fits just because he just has the body in order to do that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. But Ant, again, just such a special player. You know, in this last series that Anthony Edwards played versus the Phoenix Suns, that was his best series he's had in his career. He averaged 31 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 6.3 assists on 64.8 true shooting. Just unbelievable. He shot 51% from the field, 43.8% from three, and 83.9% from the free throw line. 64.8 true shooting, y'all. So Ant has played, by the way, in 15 playoff games in his career. He's averaging 28.9 points, 5.5 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 1.6 steals, 1.3 blocks, 48% from the field, 39.4% from three, and 83.7% from the free throw line. And he's a 61.5 true shooting. That's a playoff player, man. That's a playoff player. Anthony Edwards is special. So it's going to be a lot of fun, y'all. On the other side, we're going to talk a little bit more about these matchups and maybe some of the ways that Jamal Murray can get started, but also we're going to talk about Aaron Gordon. His defense is going to be so important in the series. And we're also going to talk about Nikola Jokic. Man, does he need to have maybe the best series he's ever had in order for them to take care of the job? We'll talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, you know, if you ever try to get tickets to an event, a comedy show, theater, Shin Yun, whatever it might be, I love Shin Yun. I love those kind of artist performances, you know, Cirque du Soleil. Those things can be really difficult to get. But Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes it getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip off with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Now, again, you got it coming up. Game 1, Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. If you're in Denver, Game 1 and Game 2. If you're in Minnesota watching this episode, you got an opportunity. See if you can get the tickets, man. You just never know. And especially if you're in Minnesota, this might be the best team you've ever had. Go watch them. See if you can grab some tickets on Game Time. Again, limited deals. You save up to 60% off for buying last-minute sports, concert, comedy, and theater ticket, all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows a total upfront with no surprise fee at the checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. What's going on, y'all? We are back here for Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day, y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe if you're on the YouTube side. Continuing to grow this community, working towards 7,000 subscribers. Yo, if you're listening to us on Apple iTunes, make sure you check in on Apple iTunes. That way you can please give us a 5-star review so more and more people can get connected to what we're doing here at Locked On Nuggets, y'all. But y'all, again, the Jamal Murray, Anthony Edwards matchup. Jamal Murray, one of the things the Nuggets have been able to do is to screen as much as possible to get Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, not just off of Jamal Murray, because getting a player off of Jamal Murray is important. But what you want to do is leverage great defenders. You want to leverage great defenders by putting space between them and your lead ball handler, between them and who you're trying to get the ball to. And that's going to be such an important thing. Jamal Murray versus Rudy Gobert has had some of the best drop coverage performances in modern NBA history. The best. Remember, Jamal Murray in the bubble versus Rudy Gobert and the drop coverage. Again, obviously a different team, just for context, though. And since Jamal Murray has played Rudy Gobert, he has 4 games of 40 or more points versus Rudy Gobert. In last year's Game 2, and then you had the 50-42-50 3 straight game performance versus the Utah Jazz as well. So a lot of this has to be about how do you get Jamal to feel comfortable with his body and with the shot making, and then on the other end, making sure that you're taking Jaden McDaniels and other players like Nickeil Alexander-Walker off of him as much as possible, or getting them moving and then stretching out the deep defense horizontally. And again, if they're going to try to pick and get Mike Conley on him, something Jaden McDaniel did in the previous regular season matchup, he would go under on these screens, and the Jamal Murray would make him pay for it, because the Nuggets are going to hunt Mike Conley, because that's just the weakest defender that they're going to have. Kyle Anderson after that. And even Naz Reid, like, as opposed to, again, Ant, Nikhil, and Jaden. So moving the ball around as much as possible, running screens, running the pick and roll, running some down screens for Jamal Murray and getting him on the move as much as possible. But y'all, really, Aaron Gordon, man, I know that, like, Aaron Gordon doesn't get celebrated a lot just because he does a lot of dirty work. And Aaron Gordon, he's just not celebrated often because when you're obviously playing with Nikola Jokic, best player in the world, you're playing with Jamal Murray, even Michael Porter Jr. to a degree. I think nationally he doesn't always get the love that he deserves. But if you remember, Aaron Gordon last season versus the Wolves averaged 13 points a game, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. The shot volume was low, but he shot 50% from the field, 33% from 3, and 89.5% from the free throw line. 89.5. Aaron Gordon went to the line a good bit just because of the matchup advantages that he had versus Karl-Anthony Towns or getting Conley or getting Ant down low. And what I really hope to see from Aaron Gordon is if there's a way that AG can summon his free throw shooting to be as good or near as it was last year, that's just going to do so much for the team because Aaron Gordon's going to get a lot of opportunities to convert and finish at the free throw line. And if he's able to do that, he's going to be able to offset so much of what the Minnesota Timberwolves are dealing with. And I think AG defense on Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels, and Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, great player. He's a great player, and he has a lot of dexterity and a lot of versatility. And so I'm really excited to see his matchup versus Cat. Because Cat, hey, don't look now. Karl-Anthony Towns having his best playoff start of his career. His numbers have not been spectacular, but he's averaging 19, 9.5, 2.5 assists on a 67.6 true shooting. And the reason being is because he shot 52.9% from 3 in this last series and 53% from the field and 88.9% from the free throw line. So, again, that Phoenix Suns team was really bad. I definitely overestimated those regular season matchups. The Minnesota Timberwolves were just a better team all year, and sweeping them is no joke. Like, sweeping that team is no joke, and they got their first sweep in franchise history in such dominant fashion versus that team. But AG is going to be so pivotal in making sure Karl-Anthony Towns just doesn't see the light of day. And when he gets switched out in the small ball units with Rudy Gobert, when he gets on Anthony Edwards, those are all going to be players that are going to be presenting their own unique challenges. And AG's defense as a roamer, AG's defense as an on-ball defender, AG's defense in the passing lanes, and then also, too, finishing in transition. Because the Minnesota Timberwolves have such a good defense and such good rim protection, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting yourself in as many advantageous positions as possible where you don't have to try to dunk over super tall, super athletic players, but you can take care of business right in front of you. And so I'm really excited to see how he converts in this series. And again, man, I love Aaron Gordon in transition just simply because Aaron Gordon, that's a transition player, man. He's so explosive, offers so many different things. And again, Aaron Gordon this playoffs, 14 points a game, 10 rebounds, 4.6 assists. You love to see that from your fourth option offensively. 55.6% from the field, 29% from 3. Now, or 52.8% from the field, 10% from 3. Didn't hit a 3, but like 1, I believe. 85.7% from the free throw line. 85.7% from the free throw line. And he had 2 double-doubles in the series versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Somebody asked, would you rather have AG taking Cat out of the lane or make him move his feet? That's interesting. I think you want Cat he's gonna be on the perimeter because he's not strong enough to just body Aaron Gordon. But if Cat's on the perimeter, then AG has the size, the physicality, and speed to leverage and stay in front of him. And that's going to be a big deal because if you can make it Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert and then like Jaden McDaniels and Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they got to pick up the offensive slack. They're good players. They're going to be able to do it in spurts. But Karl-Anthony Towns is clearly their second best offensive player. Second best. And so if you could mitigate him and force Anthony Edwards to do as much as possible, that that is going to be such a big storyline for this series, y'all. In segment 3, y'all, we're going to talk more about this, but we're going to talk about Nikola Jokic and the kind of series that he had versus Rudy Gobert last year and the Minnesota Timberwolves, but also what does he need to do this year to really take the Nuggets to the next level? We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Well, have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Y'all, all right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for aimed time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. There's more you win together. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete album for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel with boards with, hilarious emoji for taunting friends when you smash building or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover on Monopoly Go. So go, get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. We'll be right back for more here at Locked On Nuggets. All right, y'all. Welcome back to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. Thank y'all so much for being here with us today. Y'all, this is going to be a really big series. Nikola Jokic, last year, in 5 games versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, he averaged 26.2 points a game, 12.4 rebounds, 9.9 assists, shot 48.5% from the field, 50% from 3, just 70.6% from the free throw line. He was a plus 17 in the series as a whole. It was a positive plus minus in 4 of the 5 games. Now, here's the thing. Remember, he had that stinker in game 5 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves for 8 of 29 from the field. Prior to that, Jokic shot 50%, 52.6%, 69.2%, and then he shot 57.7% in game 4 in a loss. But he had 43 points, or 43 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in game 4. And this year versus the Wolves, Joker also had a 40-point game this year versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. So a lot of this is going to come down to Nikola Jokic's aggressiveness, his ability to dictate terms on the court, his ability to make sure that the Wolves don't have the opportunity to double, which they're probably not, because they're going to have Cat on, Rudy roaming, and then Rudy on when Cat's not in the game, and maybe Nas if they want to do that. But we'll see how effective that's going to be. But Jokic has the ability to make that roamer, the Derek Favors, Rudy Gobert lineups that they used to run with the Utah Jazz, make it very ineffective. But Joker's going to need to be aggressive. Now, again, Joker knows better than me. He knows better than all of us that even if he doesn't feel like he needs to be aggressive, they can win the game because his playmaking is going to be out the wazoo. Again, 9 assists last year. This year versus the Minnesota Timberwolves in 4 games, 33 points a game, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 58% from the field, 40% from 3, just 69.7% from the free throw line. He shot 69.7% from the free throw line. Now, Jokic, 2-2 in those matchups. The last game, the Nuggets played versus them. They won the last 2, but then they didn't play Rudy Gobert or Karl-Anthony Towns or Nas Reed in that matchup, I believe, when they played the 3rd time. But the 4th time, everybody played but Cat. In that game, 38 minutes played, 41 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. He had just 2 turnovers. He was 16 of 20 from the field in that game. 16 of 20 for 80%, and 2 of 2 from the three-point line, 7 of 12 from the free throw line for 58.3%. But he was a +6, and they dominated that game. But here's the thing. Jokic is going to have to make sure that in these matchups, in these games, in this matchup in particular, that he sets the pace and controls everything from the tip to the finish. And it's just because Jamal's going to have to deal with Jaden in them, and because now the funny thing is because Michael's coming off a lot of momentum, he definitely could struggle at points in time over the course of this series. But the way Michael's playing right now, I think Michael actually is in position to be very good versus this Wolves team. Last year versus the Wolves, he averaged 16 points a game, 8 rebounds. But y'all, he shot 49% from the field, 42% from 3 on 6.6 attempts a game, and just 66.7% from the free throw line. But y'all, Michael Porter Jr. was a +38 in that series. Again, Michael's play leads to winning. It leads to winning. So I expect Nikola Jokic to have a dominant series because he's going to need to. I'm not going to give my series prediction yet. Might have a special episode dropping tomorrow, but we will see. I'm going to be here. Might have some people along with us, but we'll let y'all know for sure. But yeah, man, Nikola Jokic, big series. I expect a series where he's averaging around 30 points a game in this series, around 12 to 14 to 15 rebounds, and then anywhere from 6 to 9 assists a game, just because the playmaking can be limited. But Joker hit his free throws. Joker, hit your free throws. That's going to be the biggest thing too. Like, if Joker is able to hit his free throws at a high enough rate, like 85, 90, like this last series, shot 92% from the free throw line. That Joker, you can do anything you want with. And again, versus the Lakers and versus Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic averaged 28, 16, and 10 on 67 true shooting. So Joker's going to be carrying a lot of shooting momentum with him. Not only 33% from 3, but he shot 65% from 2 and 92.6% from the free throw line. And he did that on, 5 attempts a game. So Joker will be in the opportunity to get to the free throw line a little bit more because he has a chance to be a little bit more bully ball in the series and not playing versus the Lakers. Jokic has always been a good rebounder, by the way. Amazon, yeah. Again, Rudy's a really good rebounder, but Joker doesn't really have an issue rebounding versus Rudy Gobert, especially in these recent years. But some of this is just going to be making sure he's corralling the offensive rebounds, and then Michael Porter Jr., when Jokic and him are attached, especially making sure that the shot making is going to be what it is and what it was in the last round. Again, 23 points a game on 69 on really 70 true shooting. Like that's probably not going to happen again. If it does, then the Nuggets are like, if Jamal Murray back to his normal self, his normal playoff self, and then if Nikola Jokic is playing his brand of basketball, and then Porter's averaging 23 on 70, then obviously the series is going to look a little different than expected. But I do think Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, one of my favorite defenders in the league. Everybody knows how I feel about Nikola Alexander-Walker, man. I wanted him in Denver so badly last year. He's 6'5", near 6'6", combo guard, elite defender, good shooter. And again, I said everybody, he can play next to Jamal Murray. He can play without Jamal Murray. But, they didn't want to give up the trade assets for him. And now the Wolves have him on a first year of a $2 year, $9 million deal. And he has been spectacular. So that's going to be the challenge. Can they limit Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels? Can they keep them from being the defenders that are going to be the game wreckers? Now, Nickeil shot 41% from the field in the first round and 32% from 3. He was 39% from 3 in the regular season, 44% from the field. He's not like a dynamite scorer, but he's just a really, really smart player that does a lot of things really well. So it's going to be really fun to see Nickeil on Jamal. If they want to play Nickeil with Ant, with Jaden, with Cat, with Rudy, or Nas with Rudy, then they're going to be able to put Jaden McDaniels onto Michael Porter Jr. and then put Nickeil Alexander-Walker on Jamal Murray. That's going to be a lot of great and different things that they have. So, again, like I said, the Minnesota Timberwolves were so talented. And, again, shout out Chris Finch, obviously praying for his healing. Definitely don't want to see that happen to a coach, especially in that scenario. But it's going to be really exciting. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Who are your initial picks to win this series? How do you think Jamal Murray is going to play in game one? How do you think Nikola Jokic will play in this series? And what do you think the overall outcome will be from the series as well? This is your boy Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets. I'll see y'all on the other side.